What's up guys? You already know it's me, Kira, bringing you a taste of the old days with a melee-focused video. That's right, Fall Swipe started us off with Smash 64 mechanics, and now it's time for Melee. If there's one thing that Melee's known for, it's the vast arsenal of mechanics and tricks you can use in the game, from movement to defense to combo options. It is the most technically intensive game in the series, and just to play Melee at a competent level is to have an insane understanding of all these forbidden techniques and obscure interactions. So basically, we got a lot to talk about. But before we even get to the so-called glitches and exploits I'm sure you're dying to hear about, we've got to talk about the fundamentals. While Smash 64 was obviously the framework for the entire series, Melee added numerous options to the game that are taken for granted today as part and parcel of any Smash game. The first one is side special moves. In the original Smash, each character had 3 special moves: up, down, and neutral. If you were holding your stick left or right in 64, you would still do the neutral special, but Melee added completely new options with the side special. Although 3 characters, Ness, Jigglypuff, and Link, had their neutral special move to be their side special and got a new neutral special move instead. Side specials aptly cover a lot of horizontal space, whether that's with an attack or a projectile. For many characters, their side special is also an important recovery mix-up, making the recovery game in general more nuanced than the linear pathing of 64. Special moves aren't the only type of move that got an extra direction added. Throws benefited as well. Melee introduced both up and down throws, literally adding a whole new dimension to the move. While throws in 64 were typically high knockback moves that would lead to edgeguard situations, Melee's throws were much more designed for combo follow-ups. Some characters' old throws got mapped to up or down throw instead, such as the aforementioned Falcon and Jigglypuff. But new throws were extremely beneficial for some of the returning cast, including Fox's new up throw, which sets up combos against every character. Well, almost every character. In keeping with throws getting more layered, Melee added pummeling, or the ability to hit the opponent during throws. The amount of pummels you can do is based on how much % the opponent has taken, and their button mashing can actually help them break out of the grab sooner. Pummels can add an extra bit of damage where it counts, but if you don't know how many pummels you can get, it's about 1 per every 50%. Otherwise, you might let them break out, or give the opponent a chance to react to a grab that they otherwise might not have had the wherewithal to deal with. But here's the thing, the way they would react to that in Melee would be completely different than in 64. You might remember our discussion of directional influence from the 64 video, where the extent of its capabilities was to move your character during hit stun. That still exists in Melee, but now it has to be distinguished as Smash DI, because Melee introduced the new paradigm for directional influence in the series. Here's how it works. When you get hit by a move, by holding a direction perpendicular to the way you're sent, you can influence your trajectory. Holding on to a direction parallel won't do anything. This is a simple concept that, when applied, is one of the most complex parts of the game. You don't always want to hold a direction that will reduce your knockback as much as possible either. Doing so could make a solid hit weaker, which could actually increase combo potential for your opponent. On the other hand, if you're DIing away for a combo and the opponent hits you with a strong attack instead, you're gonna find yourself dying way earlier than normal. This is part of what makes Smash so beautiful, the ability to participate and actively outplay your opponent even when they're the ones hitting you. When we combine this directional influence with Smash DI, things kick up to an even higher level. Here's the basic breakdown. Smash DI, like in 64, can only be performed during hit lag and actually moves your character before they get sent flying. You can input multiple Smash DIs during a move's hit lag. Players will quickly rotate their sticks, since each quarter circle rotation adds an additional Smash DI input. The last frame of hit lag doesn't require this extra input though, as simply holding the stick in one direction will give you what's called an automatic Smash DI, which is like a half value Smash DI that you get for free. In this case, the C stick overrides the control stick for automatic Smash DI, meaning you can use the two in tandem for some pretty nutty influence in total. This is one of the most complex parts of Melee, and if you're having trouble understanding it, don't worry. We all did when we first heard about it as well. If you're looking for a more digestible explanation, check out this video instead. One commonly applied version of automatic Smash DI is called ASDI down, where in some situations, holding down will prevent your character from being launched and let you get a counterattack, or even survive kill moves. This gives way to the technique known as AMSA-teching. ASDI down, however, is not to be confused with crouch canceling, a new Melee technique that is in essence a super powerful ASDI down. While the execution is similar, in order to truly crouch cancel, your character has to be fully crouching, meaning you can't be in the middle of other actions during it like you can with ASDI down. Crouch canceling reduces a full third of the knockback and hit stun, allowing for even more powerful counterattacks. However, taking the time to fully crouch can be a little bit obvious sometimes, which is why in high-level matches, players will opt to just use ASDI down instead. As strong as crouch canceling canceling is, there are certain moves that it won't have any effect on, such as spikes and meteor smashes. Meteor smashes technically existed in 64 as well, but the definition shifted in Melee due to the introduction of meteor canceling. These spikes and meteor smashes are moves that hit downwards, like Falco or Falcon's down air. Here's the difference though. Look at the trajectory. Falco's is at a bit of an angle, while Falcon's Stomp hits you straight down. Melee introduced the ability to jump or use an up special move out of the straight down moves, canceling all momentum and stun. Moves you can't meteor cancel, like Falco or Marth's down air, are called spikes and are exceedingly rare in Melee. Other than those two, there are only really 4 other spikes in the game, and some are really weak or basically impossible to hit. Basically, all downwards hitting moves in 64 were spikes, since you could not meteor cancel, even though they were called meteor smashes. Since Melee introduced that ability, the term spikes was added to differentiate which ones you could meteor cancel and which ones you could not. One of the only reliable ways to survive spikes, in fact, is to use Smash DI, paired with another new tool called wall teching. Melee introduced the ability to tech off a wall, just like you can tech off the ground, either with a simple tech that reduces all momentum or with a wall jump tech if you're holding a jump input. This probably came from another technique, wall jumping, only available to some of the cast by pressing forward and then away from a wall when close to it. These techniques drastically improved the depth of recovery and offstage game and made edgeguarding a much more complex procedure. With less hit stun came less shield stun as well. In 64, it's not uncommon to see a shield break combo just because one single hit would trap you in your defensive position long enough for another one. Lower level players could often get their shield broken by a Kirby just spamming up tilt. The reduced shield stun means that a large portion of moves in Melee can actually be punished, meaning your ability to shift from defense to offense is much improved. What's more, Melee added several new mechanics to shielding that dramatically increased the ways you could use it offensively. The first way is called power shielding. If you hard press the shield button just before an attack lands, you'll see a distinctive animation and receive no shield damage. Additionally, you'll be able to immediately counterattack with a grounded move, as the usual shield drop animation is bypassed. Power shielding can even reflect projectiles and ignore their shield stun, although the timing is even stricter. On the other end of the spectrum is light shielding, which is achieved by utilizing the GameCube controller's unique trigger buttons. Light shields are bigger and deplete slower over time, preventing shield pokes, but the user is hit further back from the attacks. This has mixed benefits. On one hand, it makes counterattacks harder, but on the other, it could push you away from potential follow-up pressure. It even launches Yoshi all the way across the stage if he's hit during one. Also attached to the trigger buttons is L canceling. This is just a modified version of Z canceling from Smash 64, and we know from the developers that it exists originally to make the transition into shielding easier. However, the more practical use is in attacking, as pressing L or R just before you land with an aerial attack will reduce the end lag by half. That's a far cry from reducing end lag by 100% in Smash 64, but it's still an important part of the unique balance Melee strikes for both approach options and offensive shield pressure. There's also one more new choice from shield. In Smash 64, you have 5 options available to you when shielding: roll forward, roll back, jump, drop shield, or grab, or if you're on a platform, pressing down to drop through. In Melee, pressing down will instead do a spot dodge, a quick sidestep-like move that's designed to completely avoid an attack without moving. Spot dodging adds another dimension to defensive play, even if predictable ones can get you punished really badly. Melee also gave players the ability to buffer all directional out of shield options, which are jump, roll, and shield, by holding the C-stick instead of the control stick. But wait, what about dropping through a platform when shielding? Well, you can still do it, but it's way more precise. Shield dropping, as it's known, is so precise that players didn't even start using it regularly until a few years ago. There's just a small strip of directional inputs that will trigger a shield drop, allowing the player to fall through a platform and cancel their shield. The desire to consistently perform this technique has led to whole new economies of legal controller modifications, and some illegal ones, which is a whole nother topic. Shield dropping was such a revelation because being on a platform went from being in a weak position to a potentially advantageous one. Players like Plup and Axe have made a name for themselves as utilizing shield drops incredibly well, both for movement and combos. Spot dodging may be the grounded way to give your opponent the slip, but how about in the air? In keeping with its more robust movement and defensive options, Melee added air dodging, which is basically exactly what you expect it to be. By pressing a shoulder button in the air, your character will dodge in whatever direction you're holding the control stick, or if you're not holding any direction, you'll hover in place. This is a pretty easy translation from spot dodging that's critical to some characters' recoveries. However, that isn't the most important use of air dodging, not even close. Air dodging is one of the essential building blocks of Melee's most unique technique, a maneuver virtually synonymous with the game's identity. I am speaking, of course, about wave dashing. A wave dash is executed by jumping and immediately air dodging into the ground at an angle, like so. The closer the angle is to horizontal, and the sooner you air dodge after jumping, the longer your wave dash will be. Different characters have different wave dash lengths, ranging from being pitiful to being the foundational technique of your character. Now, wave dashing can put your character in lag for 10 frames or 1/6 of a second, but once they're out of it, they can do anything. Jump, dash, attack, grab, shield, wave dash again, whatever you want. This one simple technique can be used for innumerable applications: spacing, combo follow-ups, movement mix-ups, approaching, getting to the ledge, defense, you name it. The possibilities only expand when you consider wave landing, or doing this move from the air instead of on the ground. This lets you move onto and around platforms quickly, and can even get you to slide further than a normal grounded wave dash. You'll see this technique frequently from certain characters like Ganondorf as a way to augment their usually slow movement. It really can't be over-exaggerated how important wave dashing and wave landing are to most of the characters in the game. The ability to fluidly move around the stage and retain the ability to act is absolutely crucial. But it's only one part of what makes Melee's movement its defining aspect. Dash dancing, or the technique of repeatedly dashing back and forth, existed in the original Smash Bros, but lag on its turnaround meant it wasn't the main movement technique. That goes to pivoting, to the extent that one could even consider it the wave dashing of 64. Both these techniques received significant changes in Melee. That small turnaround animation means that pivoting, or turning around in initial dash and being able to act as if standing, is much easier in Smash 64. However, in Melee, one can pivot at any point during the dash, allowing for a more flexible, if not much harder technique, almost like a faster wave dash in some ways. Pivoting has started seeing more and more use in recent years, especially by Marth players such as Zane and PUMMEL. On the other hand, dash dancing in Melee is a really fast and manipulative movement option, and can be performed simply by flicking the control stick back and forth during the initial dash. When combined with wave dashing, short hops, shielding, and other movement, this makes for a very multi-layered way to move around the stage, baiting out attacks from your opponent and finding new ways to approach yourself. It's important to mention that both these techniques can only be performed in the initial dash, not once your character actually breaks into a run. To clarify the terminology, your dash is the length your character goes just by tapping the control stick once. After that distance, they start running. You can tell by these animations. So characters that have long initial dashes, like Fox, Marth, and Captain Falcon, are some of the best in the game at utilizing pivoting, dash dancing, and other run-related techniques, such as shield stopping, which stops your momentum completely, or foxtrotting, the act of stringing together initial dashes. If you want to act out of run, you can, but it just won't be as fast as pivoting. Once you're in the run state, you can cancel your run by crouching, allowing you to use moves other than dash attack. Usually people use this run cancel to do moves like down tilt, jab, or smash attacks. There's one other really important part of dashing that's essential to Melee's movement. All momentum from running and dashing gets transferred into the air, meaning you can launch yourself across the stage in a way that just isn't possible in other Smash games, especially considering that most characters' ground speed is faster than their air speed. This is one of the things that people might not be able to consciously notice while playing other Smash games, but can still affect the game's overall feel. Another way that wave dashing is used over pivoting is as a fast way to grab the ledge. This is important in both Smash games for the purposes of edgeguarding and edgehogging. However, the ledge itself has changed quite a bit between the two games. In 64, grabbing the ledge is much faster than in Melee for most characters, with only a 3-frame animation to grab the ledge. For Yoshi, Mario, and Luigi, grabbing the ledge takes 7 frames, which coincidentally is the exact same amount of time for every character in Melee, except for Link, who has 3 frames. That in itself isn't a big deal, but what's bigger is the amount of intangibility you get from grabbing the ledge. In Smash 64, it's 60 frames, and in Melee, it's half that at 30. Here's the thing though, ledge intangibility exists to prevent you from being in a basically guaranteed death situation if you're on the ledge. And in 64, that pretty much works. You have a good amount of time to attack, roll, neutral get up, or even drop from the ledge. Still, you're not in the best position, but you get some leeway. Melee also added the ability to jump from the ledge, but doing so is terrible for most characters, so much so that it's called the tournament winner, as in, you just let your opponent win the tournament. Although Melee only gives 30 frames of intangibility, it's potentially one of the most dangerous things in the game when combined with wave landing. By dropping from the ledge as soon as you can, double jumping, and then wave landing on stage, you can still be intangible while on the stage. The greatest possible amount of intangibility frames goes to one of the best and one of the worst characters in the game. That's Fox and Pichu, who both get 15 frames. And that's enough time to do almost every very normal attack, except for Pichu's forward smash. This transforms the ledge from a place of danger to a place of safety. Of course, an improper ledge dash can get you killed, either because you didn't get enough intangibility or because you just didn't make it on stage. But players have built whole playstyles around this, the most notable of which being Hacks, whose Fox is notorious for going to the ledge whenever it can, so he can try to ledge dash near you. The ledge gets even scarier when you factor in ledge stalling, or the ability to indefinitely refresh your intangibility. This is a technique that many characters can perform, but only a few can do so while remaining intangible for the full duration. Different characters have different ways of doing this, ranging from using your up B after letting go to simply double jumping back up. One of the more complex ways to ledge stall involves using a backwards ledge dash to get back to the ledge, used mostly by Captain Falcon players. And surprise, surprise, it's called a Hacks dash, because Hacks innovated it back when he was a Captain Falcon player, showing that he always understood the importance of the ledge. In addition to the ledge being a powerful source of all-important intangibility, it also has a few other unique traits in Melee that, again, are just now being explored to their fullest extent. If you move off the ledge of a platform into the air, any state you're in except for special moves will be cancelled completely, allowing you to act again immediately. This applies to aerial attacks and even the helpless state you're put in after recovering. Zane in particular loves to show off Marth's edge cancelling, which can add new depth to Marth's punish game. These types of innovations are necessary to keep up with the meta, because there's a whole suite of difficult advanced techniques that's now normal because people have been doing it for years. This applies more to one set of characters more than any other, the space animals. There are things like Falco's lasers that can take tons of practice by themselves, but there's one thing that unifies them, the infamous Shine. Fox and Falco's down B is a reflector move that hits on frame 1, the fastest any move in the game can hit on. This knocks players up if hit by Falco's Shine and down and away for Fox. But Fox had Shine in 64, so what's the difference? Here's the thing. In 64, you're trapped waiting in a reflector for a little bit until the animation ends, unless you land on the ground. Players use this to invent multi-shine pressure, where you could jump, shine, and fall to the ground, and then repeat that since you were out of lag. In Melee, you don't exit the reflector lag if you land, but you can still multi-shine and so much more, because you can cancel it if you jump. And it all circles back, because what's one of the two primary components of a wave dash? That's right, a jump. What this means is that Fox and Falco not only have the fastest move in the game, but it can be cancelled extremely quickly into other aerial attacks. This gives them the best shield pressure and some of the best combo potential in the entire game. Shine to shine to shine to shine to up smash? No problem. Shine down air strings? Easy. Shine can even be used defensively as a get off me move, or in Fox's case, a devastating edgeguard tool. It would take forever to cover all the things you can do with Shine here, but if you watch any high level Melee match, you'll definitely see this used all the time. That's not to say counterplay isn't there. You can only do things that require a jump, and it can be outranged by most other attacks in the game, but Shine is still undoubtedly one of the most powerful moves in Melee. The fact that using it to its full potential requires massive technical skill is just one of its charms, one of the many things that gives Melee such a wide expression of playstyle compared to other competitive video games. And then on the polar opposite side, there's wobbling. This is the other most prominent character-specific technique in Melee. Usually the climbers do the same moves, just slightly delayed, but there are certain ways to desync Popo and Nana so that they can do different actions separate from one another. The extent of the things you can do with desyncs and the ways you can set them up are again too numerous to list, but there's one desync technique that's more important than all the rest. During an Ice Climber's grab, if you properly desync Popo's grab pummels and Nana's attacks at the correct rhythm, you can infinitely lock the opponent in a maelstrom of small hits, and I do actually mean infinite. What this means is that if the Ice Climbers are set up properly, one grab leads to death, and all the execution that's required is what you learned in your basic beginning drum class. Wobbling is the most controversial technique in all of Melee, maybe even all of Smash. Ice Climber players are frequently looked down upon because of the perceived lack of skill involving their punish game, an aspect of Melee that most players see as one of the most complex and enjoyable parts of the game. And if you've ever been wobbled before, then you might have just had a glimpse of the darkness that exists in this world. So much so that in the past, wobbling has even been banned from certain tournaments, although that rule has since been properly retracted. And yet, even despite this powerful technique, the Ice Climbers are still not even considered a top tier character, because the other characters in Melee are just so good that even an infinite grab isn't enough to close the gap. So yeah, it's just one of the things that makes Melee so beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. But in all seriousness, Melee is beautiful. Listen, you know we love to talk about all the Smash games, and they're all great in their own ways. But there is a reason that I play Melee, and most of the people behind this channel do too, even 17 years after it's been released. There's a reason why the tier list still can't be agreed upon, and why playstyles continue to evolve. We haven't even talked about Samus's super wave dashes, Pikachu's tail spike having like 12 different hitboxes, Luigi's wave dash momentum canceling, DK's cargo throw, moonwalking and sticky walking, jab resets, platform cancel aerials, no impact landing and aerial interrupts, the invisible ceiling glitch, environmental collision box manipulation, and much more. We're still finding new things about Melee every single day, learning more about the incredibly deep, absurdly broken, and ridiculously complex systems that make this game what it is. And yeah, it might take a few years just to understand what's going on in Melee, but trust us when we say it's worth it. And we hope that in some way, this video might have helped convince you. Hey, thanks everyone for watching. If you didn't already know, my name's Kira, co-founder of the channel SSBM Tutorials. Right now, I'm working as a game designer on an adventure puzzle game called Epiphany City, which is about a girl who tricks a superhero into giving her special powers, allowing her to magically bring pictures to life. So if you like chill games with mind-blowing moments, follow my Twitter at Kira_SSBM. Until then, follow Fall Swipe Gaming for more awesome videos.